Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and I have a confession to make. I did not do my homework. I was unprepared. The deadline snuck up on me this Thanksgiving week, and so I've got Coach Pixley here with us to we had a topic all picked out, and I just didn't have time to prepare. I didn't want to get my ass whipped in a debate or an argument about top 10 this or top 10 that, and so I decided I flipped the script on him. I said, hey, look, I'm going to pull up the standings. We're going to talk about the NBA. We're just going to talk about what we've seen through 1/5 of the season. Jonathan, welcome to the show. As always, you're going to be seeing this on Tuesday on the Luca Nation Network. What's going on? Anything happened since last Tuesday?
Well, I'm not surprised that you flipped the script here because of the ass whooping you took in the last debate that we had, the Russell Wilt debate.
Yeah, that's bad.
So I'm with you. I get it. I think it was a good move on your part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, it'll be interesting to see. Although the next one's not really – I mean, it's a debate, I guess, but not to that degree.
It won't be a debate. It'll just be we'll each have our list, and it's hard to argue because we'll talk about it when we get to it. But, I just asked myself, what would Wilt do? And Wilt would just change the rules, right? So I'm just changing the rules on you. It's my show, and so I'm just changing the rules. This is what we're going to do. So and I think a lot of the viewers will like to get our perspective on, what's going on in the basketball season, man. Everybody's kind of slowed down and chilling and eating and getting fat and sitting around watching football this week. And we're not going to. We're going to watch League Pass and watch the Thunder and the Magic and the Rockets and whatever other teams are on League Pass because it's fun to watch. So
yes.
It's just the way it is, man. And I am watching a lot of World Cup. You refuse to give in. You're not going to drink the Kool-Aid. No matter how much I urge you to do it, you won't do it. You didn't watch any of the USA game.
Man, I got a lot of people telling me I need to also. And look, it's not – look, you know me probably as well or better than anybody from this regard that I'm a little hard-headed maybe, right? I'm okay, a little bit, okay. But I'm not watching it because of that. I'm not watching it because I have no interest in watching it.
Yeah, I understand.
And the reason I don't have no interest in watching it is you can tell me all day the spacing is and the angles are similar to basketball, and I get it. They are, even what I have watched. But they never score. And so if I don't know anything about the game and you don't score, I can't watch it.
It's a problem. It's an issue. And that's why, the commissioner of baseball told his players to start injecting themselves with steroids. So that solved everything. Could you imagine if the soccer goal was like twice the size, or we said the goalie can't use their hands? Right. Magic. Like, I just solved the problem, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Real soccer, real football fans, are rolling over in their graves or, screaming at the screen right now. But, all right, no more World Cup talk. We're here to talk about basketball. So, look, I've got screen share pulled up as always, and let's just roll, man. Is it a 2-team race in the East, or do you think it's a 3-team race? I would have included the Sixers at or near the top. But Maxey out for a month, Harden out for indefinitely or something like that. I'm not up to date. And now Embiid's hurt for a couple games. So they're starting Milton and Melton. Did you ever think there'd be a team whose backcourt would be Milton and Melton, the Milton and Melton combination in the backcourt?
I did not. And
no.
I think that what it has proven, and you and I talked about this the other day, we drank the Kool-Aid on Kawhi Leonard. I'm not doing it again. Okay, and he falls on a growing list of things that we could never fall for again. One of those things, in my opinion, is counting on a team with mercurial personalities like James Harden. And Embiid's playing his behind off. There's no question, right?
Yep.
And look, Harden was great before he got hurt, but I just don't trust the situation. I don't trust the situation with the Brooklyn Nets, obviously, right? They're playing better. I trust – this is going to sound nuts. I trust a team like Toronto more than I trust them. And I don't think they're as talented as those teams.
And look, dude, listen, Toronto's 9-8. They're a game or two – a game or a half game and a game ahead of the Sixers and the Nets. Van Vliet's been in and out the whole year. I went and saw him play in Dallas against the Mavericks. Van Vliet didn't play. Yep. Siakam is now out. Yep. Scotty Barnes is now out. Yep. And so they're dealing with injuries too. It's not like the Raptors have been perfectly healthy. Precious Achiuwa is going to be out for a long time. I watched him on League Pass roll his ankle really, really nasty bad. So he's going to be out for a bit, and he matters, So I guess, okay, so going back to our question, is it a 2-team race? Is it a 2-team race? You don't include the Cavs in there.
I don't, because I don't think that there's a world this year where the Cavs have a chance to beat either one of those teams in a series.
Yeah.
That's it.
So it's not out of the question they could win the East, but you don't think in a 7-game series. And this is where I agreed with you. I had the exact same perspective of you. I was like, Cavs are 2 to 3 years off. Let's say 2.5 years away or 1.5 year away, something like that.
Yeah.
Man, I think I'm changing my mind. I've watched a lot of their games lately. Those pieces fit really well. And this is something that you probably never thought I would say. I think if they just put that Chetty Osman guy at the 3, I think he's a perfect guy at the 3 because he's going to stand in the corner and clap his hands. And Garland and Mitchell are a damn problem. Are they the best backcourt in the NBA? If you had to pick a backcourt right now, are they number 1?
No, because Steph Curry's not in that backcourt. So
I understand that. I get it. And Klay Thompson's back there with him. And I know he had a big game last game. He dropped 40 or whatever. But he's I saw a stat. Here's the stat. Of the NBA players through 1/5 of the season, where we are today, who have taken 15 field goal attempts a game, Steph is the number 1 most efficient. Klay Thompson is the last.
Yeah, I get it.
The least efficient.
Yeah, and I'm not disputing. I mean, Klay's not what he was. There's no question. Okay, and I do think he's going to shoot it better.
Yeah.
But my point is, you asked, you know how I am. I'm super black and white about this stuff and simple. So if you ask me in a playoff series, who would I rather have? I would rather have Steph Curry and either Klay Thompson or Jordan Poole than anybody else because of Steph. I think Trae Young and DeJounte Murray are right there with Mitchell and Garland. But look, let's say it. Cleveland's close, dude. Like they're not far off.
They're way closer. They worry me.
Yeah.
As a Bucks fan, I'm worried, Jonathan. I didn't have them yet ready. I think they would be a big problem in a 7-game series because the bench is no joke either, man. And I know Kevin Love's a fossil, but Kevin Love, Karis LeVert, if they do move him to the bench, or Osman, whichever one. Okoro can guard some people, although he can't play basketball. Man, I'm telling you what, man, that it's 8-man rotation in the playoffs anyway. That Cleveland team is going to be a problem because they're young. Here's the deal. They don't have a post presence. They don't have a guy to dump it into when things get like ridiculously, disgustingly filthy, handsy, and physical in the playoffs. The Bucks have Brook Lopez, Giannis, Portis, Drew Holiday, Middleton. That's 5 guys that can turn their ass to the goal, back their defender down on that block, and you can throw it in and run offense through them. And I don't think the Cavs have anybody that can do that. And don't say Mobley because he weighs 115 pounds.
No, they don't. They don't have a wing or below scorer, and that's the problem. And so when you have to make 17-foot contested mid-range jump shots at the end of shot clocks in the playoffs to win, Mitchell is as good as it gets at his size at that, but it's not the same thing as having Chris Middleton.
It's not his go-to. That's not what Mitchell's best at. He's a 3-level scorer, but that's not what he's the most proficient at. Okay.
Who would you rather have, honestly, in that situation? Because look, we're talking about Milwaukee, and I know you say you're worried. Dude, Chris Middleton hadn't played a game yet.
I was just about to ask you this question. Let me throw you another. This is another softball here. Well, it's not a softball because this is you just answer it how you will. Yeah. The Celtics are leading the East at 13-4. The Bucks are 12-4, so they're what, right? 4 losses each. They're the only 2 teams in the NBA with less than 6 losses, I think. Yeah, so the only teams in the NBA with less than 6 losses. So they're starting to separate. It's hard to separate in such a small sample size, 17 games, 16 games. Yeah. The Bucks haven't had Middleton. The Celtics haven't had Robert Williams. Which one of those guys, when they come back, makes the biggest difference for their team?
Middleton. It's not even close.
Agreed.
Not even close. I mean, he's the closer, first of all, for them.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
He's the guy who and it's the strangest thing because I think Giannis is getting better at that stuff. But at the end of the game, that title run that they made, he's developed. I'll be the first to admit, I never thought Chris Middleton would get this elite.
Neither did I.
Right? I thought he was stiff. I thought he was kind of poor man's Jason Tatum type deal. But, man, he's the real deal who can – I mean, he is that perfect 6'8", and you don't realize how big he is. He's 6'8".
6'8". I know.
With a super high release, and so you got to have that guy in the playoffs, man. And
yeah.
He hasn't played a game yet, So
listen, he doesn't have the exact same game, but the way he's perceived sort of reminds me of Joe Johnson. The way Joe Johnson used to be, where he's a lot bigger than you think he is, number one. And he's underappreciated by the general public. Like the casual NBA fan doesn't realize Chris Middleton's made 3 All-Star games. Now, I think Chris Middleton's probably better than Joe Johnson, but Joe Johnson was a MFer for a little stretch there in his younger years. He was a problem. He was a difference maker.
No doubt.
Middleton's just been there, done that, and he's, in the clutch. And ISO Joe was really good too, but Middleton's probably a little bit better player. But all right, so you think it's a 2-team race. I worry about the Cavs. The difference is the Bucks are playing without their second best player, arguably, probably, and the Celtics are playing without their third or fourth best player, probably, maybe fifth best player. It just depends. Different kind of player. So, but the fact that they got the 2 best records and they're both missing really, really important players makes me think, those are the 2 elite teams coming out of the East. Is there anybody that can even sniff a 7-game series against the Celtics or the Bucks other than the Cavs? I know you don't think the Cavs can. What about a healthy Sixers? What about a perfectly healthy Sixers?
I didn't say they couldn't sniff. Like, I think you put Cleveland against those teams, it may be 6 games, it may be a 5 games series where there's only 1 blowout in the entire series. Like, I think it's competitive. I just don't think they beat them in a 7-game series.
Yeah.
The Sixers, man, I don't trust it. I'm not going to trust it. Like, they don't have trustworthy dudes on their team yet because of the guy handling the ball the majority of the time. So I think Tobias Harris is trustworthy. Maxey, these guys, but God dog, man, when you got a guy who has never really done it in the playoffs
and had ample opportunity to do it and hadn't done it.
Yeah. We'll see, man. Maybe he breaks through this year. If he does, if he turns into regular season James Harden into the playoffs, yeah, sure, all bets are off. But
healthy Nets, no problem with the healthy Nets. I
just don't trust it. I don't think they're ever going to be healthy.
Same story, We were talking before we got on camera. Ben Simmons has strung 2 big games together. He's plus 32 in his last 2 games, but the team is only plus 14. So that's a good indication. He started his first game of the season last game, I think. The interesting thing is you said they had him guarding Steven Adams, which is like, well, why are you guarding Steven Adams? Go put him on a perimeter or, a wing or something like that. Lock that up. Anybody can guard Steven Adams. Put Nick Claxton on Steven Adams. Who cares? So we'll see. 2 games does not reverse a horrific trend.
No.
So let's give Ben some more time. Let's revisit this 7 days from now, and he'll have 2 or 3 more games under his belt, and we'll see if he's back to being the old Ben Simmons. And again, to be clear, that's not taking threes. That's not even taking mid-range jump shots. But it is, 7 assists, 8 boards, 10 boards, 6 assists, guarding the other team's best player, making layups, dunking the ball, running the break, things like that.
That thing is a disaster. Think about what Durant said the other day about the starting 5.
I can't believe he said that. Did you think that was like being a leader, or did you think that was like despicable?
I think Durant has gotten to the point where he just, he's kind of that. You know how old people they say whatever they want to say because they think nobody's going to care because they're old, right? I think he's gotten to that point, but where he wants to say it just to prove he can say it. And here's the thing: he wasn't wrong about what he said.
No, but you can't say it. You can't say these are grown men, professional teammates. You don't talk about them like that.
No.
Joe Harris deserves better than that. He's a good player. He's a veteran. He's been doing it.
Yep.
I just thought it was classless and tasteless.
Yes.
And what he said, honestly, Jordan could have said it for the first 7 years of his career or whatever. It's LeBron, for God's sakes. How long did LeBron play with junk around him? So I did not like it. I didn't think it was good. If you missed it, Durant basically called out the other 4 members of the starting 5 one night and basically said, what do you expect us to do? We can't win with this lineup. I can't do it all myself, which I just thought was classless and tasteless.
But he said, y'all expect us to win because I'm out there.
Right.
And there's some truth to that. But, man, come on. That's why you and I talked about it.
Are the Heat done?
We now maybe pushes ahead of him all time, because of titles and leadership and all that intangible stuff. So, anyway.
Are the Heat done?
Yeah.
And I'm with you on that. I don't want to talk too much more about it. I think they're done too. They've lost 4 in a row, and not because they've lost 4 in a row. Yeah. They look old and slow to me. They look real old and slow. They look like they struggle to score. They're literally relying on Max Strus for big time points and creating and field goal attempts. It's just not right. No. Are we sleeping on the Bulls with a healthy Lonzo?
No.
You don't think? You think?
No. Not to. You're saying to I mean, sleeping on them in what regard? To challenge?
Sleeping on them, like coming out of the East. You throw Lonzo in there. I mean, DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine are a poor man's Tatum and Jaylen Brown, right? At the 2 and the 3. Lonzo Ball's better. I mean, he's as good or better than Brogdon and Marcus Smart or whoever the hell else you want to run at the point for Boston. And Vujacic is better than any big man on Boston. So why are the Bulls are they underachieving? Is it coaching? Is it just chemistry? What's the deal?
Lonzo Ball is not better than Malcolm Brogdon, first of all. Okay. And I hate that Malcolm Brogdon's not starting. That bothers me. Okay. But nonetheless, no, we're not. It's a chemistry thing. I don't think LaVine and DeRozan fit together. I don't know if you've watched much of them, but they've got.
I haven't. They're boring to watch to me.
I agree. It's all ISO. But I'll watch Zach LaVine get frustrated with like you see it visibly on the screen when DeRozan takes these contested mid-range shots, which he's made a career of. But I mean, it bothers him, right? And so I think I just don't see it. And plus, they don't guard anybody. They don't guard anybody. So
because Zach LaVine says those are my contested mid-range twos. Those are my 19 to 20-foot twos that I like to take when I'm contested, right? Yeah. All right. That's enough of the East. Anything else in the East? Anything at the bottom of the East? If you had to pick a team that would be in the best spot, Jonathan, 2 years from today, Magic, Hornets, or Pistons, which one of those franchises would you like to have right now if you were the GM?
Orlando, and it's not even.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm not high on Cade, who looks like he might be out for the season. Did you hear he has shin fractures?
Yeah.
And I think Ivy looks good, but we're still waiting to see if he's going to shoot a basketball proficiently. Right. The Hornets is LaMelo Ball, and I see nothing else there. I see nothing else helpful. And then Orlando has got like a lot of bullets in the chamber, dude. Like they may not all be Cade Cunningham or Trae Young but Banchero is unquestionably the real deal. Yeah. And then Wagner is he's gonna push to be an all-star level player at some point. Really? Bol is a guy who he's gonna have a long NBA career. I'll put it that way, right? I don't think he's ever a 20-10 guy, but he could be a 10, 9, and a 4 block guy. I mean, he's doing some great stuff. And then, dude, you just go through Cole Anthony's a great either 6-man scorer coming off the bench or fringe starter like a Terry Rozier. Is that a fair comp? Yep. And then Markelle Fultz is supposed to be back in maybe 2 weeks, something like that. And so he was actually starting to come around. So we'll see where he's at. And then Suggs, I can't figure out. Some nights he's like 20 and 11, and the other nights he's like 4 points on 2 of 13 shooting. I don't understand him at all. He's just inconsistent.
I think he can't find a rhythm. I think, and it's hard to when you got Banchero and Wagner. Which, by the way, I will say this forever: when you have big playmakers like those two guys, it's a huge thing for them, right? And so I think those two dudes are going to be elite. And I didn't realize Wagner was. He is. Okay, he's going to be that. And I think a guy like Suggs, who's so used to determining the outcome of possessions, it's hard in that situation because he's not that guy.
I don't even know if Suggs is the guy. I mean, I don't know between Fultz, Suggs, and Cole Anthony. I don't know if Suggs emerges as the guy.
It's none of them. It's going to be somebody else that has to come in.
Think so? Yeah. You may be right. It may be Victor Wembanyama. All right, let's talk about the West. So right now, you got to pick who's coming out of the East.
Milwaukee. Beginning. Middleton hadn't played a game, dude. I mean, and Giannis is trying. I know the 4-15 the other day, but like Giannis is on his it's his revenge tour for sure. There's no. I
hope that it's more than just the 4-15, dude. He did it again last night, and he did it the game before that. His free throws are absolutely horrific. This is the most massive regression that I've seen in a really long time. Yeah. Which is really saying something because he didn't have that far to regress from. He was already horrific. I hope that narrative doesn't overshadow all of the other numbers. It's funny because, I play fantasy basketball, and the last time I looked, in an 8-category league, which is points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, threes made, three-pointers made, free throw percentage, field goal percentage, right? Those are the 8 categories. Yeah. Giannis was ranked like 60th or something like that overall.
Really?
Okay? But when you eliminate the free throw category and you change to 7 categories, he was like 5th.
Yeah.
So it's like that's how disgusting and horrific his free throw shooting is. Yeah. All right, so you got the Bucks coming out of the East. I do too because I think when you plug Middleton in, I see them going on a 24-4 type deal at some point and just separating. And I'm not saying the Celtics can't do the same thing, but we'll see. You're asking Horford to stay healthy. You're asking Smart to stay healthy, who's not. You're asking Brogdon, who keeps getting hurt over and over. I do like Pritchard coming off the bench. I like that kid, man.
Tatum is playing really well, man.
He fits perfectly in Boston, man. I love him.
No.
Let's talk about the West. Here's something I'm going to point out to you in the West. My Timberwolves, right? My Timberwolves, a team that I picked to finish, I think, win or second in the West, whatever. I can't remember. It was some dumb hot take. Yeah. They've won 4 in a row. They are in 10th, but they are 2 back of first.
Right.
You ever seen this kind of parity after 19 games? No. I mean, the Jazz are in first with 7 losses. The Timberwolves are in 10th with 8.
Yeah. Well, and we all know that the Jazz will probably that has a better chance of flipping all the way.
It's got a great chance of flipping,
right? I mean, it really does. Then it's obviously not going to stay that way.
This can't continue.
Outside of Markkanen, who is turned. Look, so far so good on your call. The Jazz will still lose. I'm going to say 50 to 55 games. During the course.
They can't lose 55 games.
I think they can, man. They're terrible, dude. I don't want to hear it. Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson, no way. It's just not happening.
They're not going to lose 55. I mean, look, come on, man.
They can lose 50 games. They can lose 50.
They're 15 and 48 for the rest of the season.
Why not?
Here's the deal. If you had $1,000 and you had to bet 500 record at the end of the year, over, under.
Oh, they're under for sure.
I say under as well. I'm
saying under by like 15 plus games.
Oh God, get out of here! Hey, how about this? Here's a quiz for you. Look at the standings. Who do you think the 2 Vegas odds-on favorites are to win the West regular season?
Still right now, or at the beginning of the year?
Well, this was as of last night.
Phoenix and Denver. I don't know.
The Clippers and the Warriors, who are in 11th.
Still?
Those are the Vegas favorites, and they've got the same odds. Number one, I still don't understand what people see with the Clippers. Now, here's the deal. They're 11-7, which is basically half a game out of first. They're tied in the loss column with the first place without Kawhi Leonard.
Who's their second best player? Because I don't count Kawhi Leonard because he didn't play basketball. Who's their second best player?
That's my question. I don't know. Zubats? I don't know. Marcus Morris? I mean, geez, dude, pick a 36-year-old guy. I don't know. They got 20 of them. I mean, they're all the same. It's like freaking Robert Covington's all over the place. Norman Powell, Marcus Morris, fill in the blank. They're all wing slasher guys. That's all they have, and they're not slashing anymore. A lot of them are old.
Right.
I don't know. I just don't see it with that team. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't see it. I like Denver.
Okay, we can agree. So who's going to win the West right now? I mean, we made our predictions at the beginning of the season. Now we're 19 games in. We're about a fifth of the way through the season, about 20% way through the season. Who's going to do it? I mean, the Suns at 10-6 with Chris Paul not having played hardly at all has got to be an accomplishment.
I like Denver. I
like Denver too, Jonathan.
They're only going to get better, and they're not counting on Jokic to do as much right now.
He's doing way less, but he's even more efficient. He was already the most efficient ultra-modern player that we've seen in the NBA. Yeah. He's taking significantly fewer shots, and you were right, and we both called this. He's going to assist more because he's going to shoot less. He's way up in assists. I think he's 4th in the league. I think he's like
9. He's right at. I think he's at 9, huh?
Dude, he's 3rd. He is 3rd in the NBA at 8.9. He's got more assists than Doncic.
That's where I had him too. I think I had him preseason.
You might have, man. I knew he was going to jump. I didn't know he would jump all the way to 9. He may not finish there, but I mean, that's where he's at.
Look, Jamal Murray and Porter and those guys, they're going to get better and better and better as the year goes, as long as they stay healthy, right? I just like them. I like them because you can count on their best player to be himself all the time. Right.
Be healthy, be on the court, and be himself the whole time. Yeah. Right. And he's got a little dog in him too, man. Like he ain't your typical European, softy. He's got a little dog to him. And I tell you what I like the most about the Nuggets. If we go down the list, Jazz, Suns, Nuggets, Clippers, Kings, even the Pelicans, Grizzlies, Blazers, the best player coming off the bench for any of those 8 teams that I just named, I think, is Bones Highland. Have you watched him at all, Jonathan? I know. Go watch him, man. Go watch him. That guy's an NBA starter one day.
Okay. Okay.
You got to trust me on that. I don't know how much you watch him. Watch Bones Highland. Bones Highland's he's going to be a problem in the NBA. I don't think he's a franchise guard. I don't think he's the next Halliburton, but man, this guy can play. He does not need to be coming off the bench as a sixth man for very long. We'll put it that way.
Well, does he win a game in a playoff series? Like, you know what I'm saying? You know how that you got to have that guy, right? Who does that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's what matters to me. You got to have that bench guy, right?
Yeah.
You come in for one game in a 6 or 7 game series and go, he gets 30 out of nowhere and wins the game, something like that. That's when it really matters. Jordan Poole, something like that. So if he's that guy, then I mean, that matters. But look, all this again, it comes down
to
trust.
A mess. Huh? The West is a mess, dude. The West is a mess. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know. The team that I think has the best chance of winning the Western Conference and coming out in the playoffs is the 11th place team.
Yeah, I know.
It's the Warriors. I still think it's the Warriors. That's just me. I think at some point it's all going to click. I heard another stat. Are you ready for this stat?
Yeah.
The Warriors starters are plus 77 this year.
Heard that too.
Did you hear what their bench is? Minus 90. Minus 90.
Right. But we were talking about the other day, we feel like there's a rift there between those bench dudes and the starters, the old guard, right? I mean, it obviously there was something going on there for sure. But just look at the numbers, dude. You put them old dudes together, they've still beaten everybody's ass.
They still do it. I know. They still do it. You're right. Looking at the bottom here, can the Lakers climb out of this? I mean, AD's kind of carrying them right now. They've won 3 in a row to crawl back to 5 and 10. They're only 3 out of the play-in spot. I know you don't trust LeBron's health, and you and I both. I refuse to let you trust Anthony Davis to stay healthy. He is crushing it right now statistically. He is crushing it and doing everything we demanded of him. But the question is, how long? At what point is he going to have lower back spasms or vaginitis or wrist strain or some DNP rest or whatever the hell is going to happen?
I would like to boycott talking about the Lakers.
All right, next. Let's talk about the Thunder. SGA and Giddey. What do you think?
Dude, SGA is – he keeps doing it. Somebody even brought up the other day, I was listening to Zach Lowe's podcast, and he said and it wasn't just Lowe that said it, it was his guest, said that if you asked, every general manager in the league, who would you rather have out of SGA and Morant moving forward, that there would be a lot of people who would take SGA. I disagree with that, but I mean, I wouldn't. But I mean, just because he is seems to be a little bit more durable. Plus, he's 6'6", right? But man, he is the real deal. Like all 3 levels. And they were talking about a stat where last year, I think, even though they shut him down early, right? Even though he averaged like 25 a game, he only shot like 44%. In the mid-range from like 16 to 18 feet. This year, he's shooting like 53.
50, 40, 90, dude. Look at the numbers, Jonathan. 52.6, 39.1, 90.8 free throws, which is down. He was shooting 95% for a while. Look at his CER. 16
to 18 feet where you have to make shots. In the playoffs, he's shooting 53% right now. Right?
He jams his ass into the lane. He gets to that range no matter what. If you block him, he counters. If you cut him off, he spins or he's split between the legs, split dribble, wrap around, whatever. He does whatever he has to do. You can turn him as many times as you want. He is burying his head and getting into that paint one way or the other. As always, leading the league in paint drives. I didn't know he was from Tennessee. Interesting.
91% from the free throw line, dude. I mean, that's a huge stat right there, right?
It's big time, man. It's big time. The Spurs have finally agreed to go ahead and suck. We knew that was going to happen. Pop wasn't, and those guys were not going to. Buford wasn't going to let those guys win that long. The Rockets are 3-14, and they've had some tough losses. I'll be honest with you; they've been in some games. They're not as bad as 3-14. I know you hate them, and I know you don't want to talk about them, but your opinion has not changed on Kevin Porter Jr. or Jalen Green.
No, they're the lowest basketball IQ guys in the history of basketball.
Keep saying
from a talent that are super talented as well. I'm not saying. Okay. I will tell you something about the Rockets that you will appreciate because you and I, neither one of us enjoys betting, right? We don't like losing money. But I did create an account on one of the sites just because I want to see, could you do something with the NBA because we know a little bit about it. So the other night I'm looking at it and I'm the Rockets and the Warriors about to play, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? Let me look at Clay because I don't know if he's going to play tonight, whatever. So I'll look at his deal, and they were saying, no, he's going to play. He's going to play in the first half too. And I start looking at his numbers, and he was ramping up a little bit over the previous 2 games, scoring a little bit better. I said, I think he has a big one, right? So I put some money down on him to score 25 and the Warriors to win. All right. Well, what do you have, 25 in the first 9 minutes?
I was going to say, yeah, it was vintage Clay.
And it was banking strictly on the fact that the Rockets are so awful defensively that he's going to be open.
Yeah.
Certainly he was.
So anyway. If you had to choose between SGA and Trae Young as your point guard, who would you take?
SGA.
Really? Right now.
And I don't think either one of them is going to win right now. I just think the ceiling is much higher for SGA. And if you said, who do you think you have a better chance to build a championship team around, I think it's him.
And the deal with it is, and again, I keep coming back to sample size. It's only 1/5 of the season, 20 games. But the reason Trae Young is an elite basketball player is his ability to shoot the ball from 3 and just pretty much shoot the ball, period.
Yeah.
Well, SGA's got better percentages at all 3 levels. I mean, what else? I mean, 3s, field goals, 2s, free throws, everything.
It's easier for him, right?
It's easier for him. It's easier for him to get the looks. And if he's a better shooter, then surely he's better at everything else there is in basketball. Rebounding, maybe not passing the ball, but it's not like he's some slouch, and then
I'm not a Trae Young hater, man. I'm not.
I'm not either. I'm not either.
Genius with the ball. I really do.
Jonathan, we just always go back. I think we did, we talked about this a lot extended in one video not too long ago. We kind of just talked about the fact that little people just don't win titles as the alpha. Isaiah's the last one. And then before that, you got to go back to whatever. I don't even know. Kuzi or
probably
Tiny Archibald. Did Tiny Archibald win one? He wasn't the best player or whatever. Yeah. And then Oscar won one. Not that he's not really little. He's 6'4".
He's big, dude. 6'5".
He's like 6'4", 6'5". Yeah, he's big. Yeah. And I don't consider Steph either because Steph, statistically, Steph's having a better year than he did his MVP year. Isn't that crazy? He's going to turn 35 this year, man. That's just nuts to me. Let's look at the NBA statistical stuff. Anything jump out at you? There's SGA right there, 31.1 in 4th. Rebounds per game, Gobert. That's no surprise. None of those guys are a surprise. Antetokounmpo being 5th behind Capella and Vujacic. It is what it is. Assists per game, Tyrese is the real deal. He's the real deal. I flipped it, man. He's a lot better than I thought, and he's brilliant, man. I watched him on the JJ Redick podcast. The he's sharp. He's funny. Yeah. He's got a really good IQ. Just the way he was talking about the game and what he sees and his looks and how he's progressing as a player and kind of developing and how the game's slowing down. You could tell he's special, man. Mentally, he's got it up here.
He's bigger than you think, too. That's the thing about it.
What?
He's longer and bigger than you realize. And,
yep.
No, I missed it on him. I did. I just didn't see it. And he's the real deal. There's no
Conley is at 7.9. That kind of surprises me. That's
Jazz right now. Who cares?
That won't last. Surely that smoke and mirrors nonsense.
Go back to points. Go back to points real quick.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is the most amazing part about this stat. Are all 5 of those guys averaging over 30 and also shooting 50+% from the field? The only one who might not be.
It is possible. It is possible. Let's see. Here we go. Doncic just dipped below 49.4.
Look at that. That is amazing to me.
That is amazing.
Proves, first of all, how skilled those dudes are, but also how you're not allowed to touch anybody anymore. So,
how about this statistic? When this is partly Giannis's fault because he's taking 3 threes a game. Yeah. Steph Curry's field goal percentage is higher than Giannis's.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah,
God mercy. Why? What the hell? Oh my gosh. Here's a stat for you.
33% from 3 right now. By the way, that'll change.
See what?
Durant's only shooting 33% from 3 right now. That'll change.
Right.
Sure.
Here's a stat for you. Are you ready for this stat? I just saw this. Let this sink in. Steph Curry has 23 more threes than Buddy Hield, who's in second. That is the same difference. Get this. That's the same difference between second place Buddy Hield and 35th place Jaylen Brown.
Wow.
So the difference between 1 and 2 is the same as 2 and 35.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's bananas, right? Here's two guys that are not going to lead the league in 3-point percentage by the end of the year. That's a fact. I know that. And here's another one.
I would be willing to bet none of those 5 guys will be in the top 5.
I'm willing to agree with you, unless Olynyk somehow doesn't take another one or something like that.
Right.
So, what else? Anything else from here? If you had to choose between, the OKC, the Spurs, and the Rockets, which one of those three? But we won't talk about the team that shall not be named. The Thunder, the Spurs, and the Rockets. Which one of those 3 teams would you like to be the GM of? Maybe
OKC.
2 years from now.
OKC for sure, 100%. Because you got your boy. I mean, what if it works out, right? You keep SGA, you have Giddey, who I think the jury's still out on, right? We'll see what happens. But you have young pieces there. And what if they mess around and get the number 1 pick?
Well, who's the other piece, though?
I think Chet Holmgren is the other piece as well.
No, I mean that's where I stop. I don't see it with any of those other guys.
Oh, that's fine. I get you, but I don't think those other 2 teams.
But those are 3 big pieces.
But I don't think those other 2 teams have those guys. So that's my point.
I just disagree, man. I think the Rockets do.
I think the Rockets has a big enough sample size, both on and off the court, for you to know that it's not going to work. Jalen Green is not yet. You are correct. But we've seen enough guys like him in the past.
Have you got to see Tari Eason play enough or at all?
I will not.
I get the vibe that you just refuse to watch the Rockets out of stubborn old man spite, and so you probably haven't seen Tari Eason play.
I hate watching them play, man. I hate it. They don't play real basketball. It's awful. It's a super talented AAU team. That's the way it looks when they play.
Yeah.
Is Eason playing well? He's playing well.
He's not getting the minutes that he wants consistently, but when he gets the minutes, he does crazy shit. Okay. Like, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Like crazy stuff in limited minutes.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think I've ever seen him touch the ball with his left hand in any way, shape, or form to pass, dribble, or shoot. But he plays hard when he gets his minutes, but I get the vibe that he's a little bit disenfranchised. Like his body language is not great right now when I see him play, but he's going to be a fantasy goldmine for somebody at some point. If you're in a dynasty fantasy league, stash this guy because his steals and blocks are going to be elite at a very, very elite level one day when he does get the minutes. He's the clear-cut 3. Like right now, it should be Kevin Porter, Jalen Green, Tari Eason, Jabari Smith, and Şengün. But they insist on effing Eric Gordon starting every game and playing Eric Gordon all the minutes. I don't understand what the hell they play Eric Gordon for. I don't understand it. It doesn't fit into the team's plan, their window. Nothing about Eric Gordon makes any sense for that team. You know where Eric Gordon belongs? He belongs on the Clippers with all those other chuckers that shoot threes and don't play, run up and down, just a bunch of old dudes that used to be okay and athletic and now they're not. Right. He's the Marcus Morris of the Rockets.
Yeah, that's a good call. All right, tell me this. Who leads the league in scoring, in your opinion?
Tatum.
You think Tatum does? I still think Luka does. His usage rate is too high.
Well, I don't have a Cajun calculator, but if Giannis was shooting 75% from the free throw line,
or 65,
he would by far be leading the NBA in scoring. I have a hunch. Let's go back to that number because right now he's not even averaging 30. But my God, he's missing a lot of free throws. Where's Giannis? Where is he on here? There he is. Free throws. He's oops, I'm on the wrong line. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he's missing 5.4 a game. So if he was only missing 4 a game, he's leading the league in free throws and he's the worst free throw shooter in the league. So that's a really bad combination for you fantasy basketball fans out there. Yeah. Because it just destroys your free throw percentage in a rotisserie league. But 57.5, Jonathan, that's terrible, dude. That's got to stop, huh?
It's inexcusable. It really is. And it's not – I refuse to believe it's lack of work. It's like you said, it's a head thing. It'll flip around, man. I mean, he's going to end up I'm going to guess he's going to end up high 60s by the end of the year, which is still not good. But, he may do that.
I don't know if he's going to end up high 60s. That means he has to shoot high 70s to get there.
That's true.
Or at least mid 70s, which he has not been prone to do in the past.
Right.
What else? Anything else? What's going on in the NBA? Oh, how about this? I just did a little video on this. I sent my dad and his buddy down, right, last night to go to the Golden State Warriors game. I got 2 season tickets, really good tickets, like 10th row, right behind the Pelicans bench. Send my dad down there. My dad's like, yes, Zion's playing. Ingram's playing. We're excited. Can't wait. First NBA game him and his buddy have been to in forever, right? And they're excited because they're playing the Warriors. They said everybody, dude.
Yep.
They said everybody.
It's the second time this year they've done it.
They got to put a stop on that. How can they police that? It's not tanking. It's not going to fall under the purview of the anti-tanking rules.
Right.
But because they're not tanking, they need to win games. Obviously, they're trying to compete. We know the Warriors are trying to compete, but like, how do you police that? How do you stop that? How do you tell a coach or a franchise or a team that they can't do that?
You can't unless you have an NBA official who also goes, when they go through their projected starters and they're sitting them all, and they actually are there as well to
take a physical.
Really sick, or you really?
Yeah.
Let me do an MRI. I mean, it's not gonna happen.
Throw up for me. Let me put this thermometer in your anus. Yeah, that's not going to happen. What? There's got to be a way though, and this is my perspective. Is like you only get a certain number of times a year to see the opposing team, right? You want to see the best of the best in the NBA. And I was telling a story on my channel. My dad's sitting, and right behind him, there's a family there, and it's like a father, and he's got a couple of his kids there. Well, one of his kids they bought the tickets like in the off season because they knew the Warriors were coming to town. They couldn't wait. His son loves Steph Curry. Could not wait to see Steph Curry play. And then they get there, no Steph, no Clay, no Draymond, no Wiggins, and 5 minutes of Kevon Looney, which was probably a favor. But, I mean, that's absurd. That's ridiculous. Some of the dudes that were playing on that team last night, Ryan Rollins. Who the hell's Ryan Rollins, man?
Think about this. I was talking about this with somebody earlier. Larry Bird's career got cut short probably 3-4 years of solid years. Why? Because he paved his own driveway. Right. He was
his mom's. His mom.
Yeah, his mom's driveway. Right. He ruined his back because he was doing manual labor. Like in that world, and I know people are like, well, what does that have to do with anything? A dude who does that, I would be willing to bet if you went and looked at the next 2 or 3 years after he hurt his back, he was still putting up elite numbers, but he was still playing 80 games a year, right?
And laying down. I remember watching him lay down, Jonathan, on his stomach.
Man, how so the longevity of these guys to me is BS. It's BS because okay, so Kawhi Leonard's going to end up playing for 19 years. Great. Jordan played for 13 years. Hell, he played 82 games his last year in Washington, for God's sake.
I know. And here's the deal. Yeah, you can't say, oh, we're prolonging their career. No, you're not. Go back and look at Stockton, Malone, Kareem, all these guys. Yes. They were playing 78, 80, 82 games a year without the travel amenities that they have. Certainly without the medicinal technology that the current modern players have. Is ridiculous the way they can care for their body. The preventative medicine is absurd. The knowledge that we have about stretching and diet and nutrition and things like that. It just kind of pisses me off that they're being so coddled, and now we sound like old men bitching.
Yeah, but man, look, I used to argue with people when they would say, "Man, I can't watch the NBA until the playoffs." They don't even try until the playoffs because for years that was just not true. I mean, these dudes, but now it is because if they do, either they're not playing at all or they're protecting themselves when they play, and that's why it turns into like a pickup game at times. You feel like, I don't know how you feel about this, probably the same with me. I feel like there ends up now being about 10 to 12 games that you watch during an NBA season that you're like, that's a playoff atmosphere.
This was different. Yeah.
But I mean, and back in the day, every time Chicago and Detroit, or every time the Lakers and the Celtics, or every time Philly and the Bucks, or who, like all those games were always, it was a big deal.
Well, I know how to fix it. I know how to get them A, to play harder, and B, to play more often. I just thought about it. You need to pay per game. The same way that a waiter at a restaurant is paid per hour, or a cashier at a convenience store is paid per hour, not salary.
Yep.
Now, you're not going to be able to reverse course and do that, so this is purely hypothetical. But if you paid these guys per game, and then every game they win, there was a monetary bonus. Could you imagine the 82 games that we would get to watch? everybody would order League Pass. It would be a totally different looking basketball game. Imagine if every single one of these games, the outcome, win or lose, meant a difference in their pockets.
Yeah. Well, think about it too. I mean, it used to be a big deal to win the All-Star game, right? Because I think there was like a $15,000 bonus or something. And I remember Bird talking about that. I'm going to win this game. I'm going to get $15,000. Dude, Steph Curry gets $15,000 every time he dribbles with his left hand. Like, and Steph certainly is the exception to all those rules that we're talking about. But it's like, man, I mean, come on. Like, why don't you want to play? That's my thing.
That's it. I see it with Giannis. I see it with some players. They just won't take off. They just won't. Now, Giannis has taken off a couple here and there because of left knee swelling, or knee swelling. It might be his right knee, but which worries me a lot, right? Because you bring Middleton back. If you take Giannis off, things don't get better.
It's why he's the best player. Because
it is. It's part of the reason he's the best player.
He's old school in that approach, right? And
Jonathan, we don't say this a lot because he's a blob, but I don't see Doncic taking games off. Does he? Right? I mean, we don't see him taking very many games off.
Every defensive possession off, but he doesn't take games off. Yes,
he takes half of every game off, right? No, he's gotten better, dude. He's gotten better.
Yeah, I'll give him that.
I tell you what, it is starting to irk me a little bit. He bitches at the refs mercilessly. It is absolutely pat. You know what? He was horrific early, and they were like, "Dude, shut up. You may be good, but you're still too early in the league to treat us like this." And then he got better for a stretch, and now it has gotten worse than it ever was, to the point where even my wife was like, does he normally yell at the officials like that? And I was like, yeah, it's actually – I've seen much, much, much worse. Anytime he doesn't make a basket or turns it over, it's automatically a shouting match with him and the referee. Like he never makes a mistake,
Until they do something about Draymond Green, though, I yell away.
I would tee that dude up every single. I've been saying that for 10 years. If I was an official, I dare you to say another word. I would do it every time, and that's why I'm not an official, right? Because I would probably have a really bad, I'm a Steve Jabby reputation. So anyway, all right, well, good. That's our thoughts. Anything else? What's going on? What are y'all doing for Thanksgiving? You're in town?
Yeah, we're here, and then we go to Fairhope, Alabama, to see my sister. And I don't know if you've ever been to Fairhope, but dude, it's like a freaking Hallmark Christmas movie.
Oh, it's like is it the Truman Show? Was that the show where they had the fake town or whatever? I forget, with the Jim Carrey. No, Fairhope, Alabama. My wife and I talk about it all the time. I'm like, that's where I'm going when I'm done with everything, and I just want to go get on eBay and buy cards. I'm going to Fairhope, Alabama, to sit and drink coffee and look at the bay and do that because Fairhope is amazing. We go to Point Clear. Point Clear, and go to the I just went blank, the Grand Hotel in Point Clear, which is a great vacation destination. Fairhope is the #1 retirement community in the southern United States. I think Fairhope is.
It's awesome. It's the only town that I really think I enjoy walking around downtown in. Like I actually enjoy it. Like it is. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, to be fair, downtown's about 4 blocks, but you're right. It is cool. It's old shops and stuff like that. And I didn't know your sister lives there. What does she do there?
So they own Surf Pros, several franchises.
Oh, okay. That's the stuff that sucks the water out when places flood and all that.
Yeah, all the hazard control stuff. So they have several franchises, but they're based out of there. So we'll go up there. My brother will be up there. We'll have pretty much everybody up there on the Friday after Thanksgiving. But Thanksgiving will be here. So,
man, I'm jealous of her that she's got a job that does not matter where you live. Wouldn't that be nice? Like, if I had a job where it just truly didn't matter where I live, you're right. I would live in Fairhope, Alabama. No offense to the people in Louisiana, but Fairhope, Alabama is a pretty cool place to live. So anyway, cool, man. Thanks for joining. Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll catch up and we'll have another episode next Tuesday. Obviously, this episode's gonna come out after Thanksgiving, so that didn't make any sense. But it'll come out Tuesday after Thanksgiving. Anyway, thank you guys for watching as always. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and peace.